I was about to start sixth grade when my mom, our two little dogs, and I moved to Montgomery, Alabama, trying to leave behind the mess of her third divorce. And for a while, it felt like we actually had. The house wasn't anything special on paper, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, built sometime in the early 1800s, but it had a strange kind of presence, like it had been standing there long enough to remember things it shouldn't. The concrete walls cool to the touch, the original hardwood floors creaking softly under every step, and those crystal doorknobs catching light in a way that felt just a little too perfect, like eyes watching you move through the rooms. And sitting in that quiet neighborhood where the neighbors barely came outside, it felt peaceful, almost protected, the kind of place where nothing bad could reach you. And maybe that's why we ignored the first warning. The woman who sold us the house came by once to collect some old mail, but she wouldn't step inside the gate, just stood there with this uneasy smile, saying she had bought the place with her fiancé before he died in a car accident. And we didn't question it, didn't press her, because we wanted a fresh start so badly we were willing to overlook anything that didn't fit. For a while, everything was normal. I got used to a new school, my mom settled into her job, and life started to feel stable again. But then the small things began. The kind you try to ignore because they don't make sense, like catching a glimpse of something small and fast out of the corner of your eye, a shape low to the ground, like a tiny dog darting past a doorway. And every time I told myself it was one of ours, until I'd turn and realize both dogs were somewhere else entirely. And I kept quiet about it because it sounded crazy, like something you admit out loud and instantly regret, until the night my mom saw it too. We were standing in the dining room talking when both of us turned our heads at the exact same moment, watching this small, shadowy creature run across the floor and disappear into the living room. And when we looked at each other, there was no confusion, no doubt, just this quiet understanding that whatever we'd been brushing off was real. And from that moment on, the house didn't feel the same, like something had been waiting for us to notice it. When my aunt and uncle came through on their way to Florida, they slept on an air mattress in the living room, and sometime in the middle of the night, they both felt something climb onto the mattress, moving across their legs, shifting its weight like a real animal. Except when they reached out, there was nothing there. No body, no sound beyond the movement itself. And even though my uncle tried to laugh it off later, calling it some kind of oversized rat, he made it clear he wasn't coming back. Not long after that, my mom and I were asleep in the same bed when we both felt it again, the unmistakable sensation of small paws stepping across the blankets, pressing into our legs. And half asleep, my mom told me to grab the dog and put it back in the kennel, so I reached out, but whatever it was slipped off the bed and moved underneath. And when I turned on the light and looked down, I could still hear it shifting, scratching softly. Except both of our dogs were already locked in their kennel, staring back at me. And the sound under the bed stopped the second I realized it wasn't them. A couple weeks later, my mom called me into her room in a panic, and when I stepped into the doorway, I saw something I still can't explain. A glowing green orb hovering in midair, pulsing faintly as it drifted, moving up and down, sliding across the walls and along the floor like it was searching for something. And I remember trying to make sense of it, looking toward the window for some kind of reflection or trick of light, anything that could explain it. But there was nothing. And then just like that, it vanished, leaving the room colder than it had been before. By then, people didn't stay long in that house. One of my mom's friends spent the night and woke up screaming, convinced someone had been sitting on her chest, choking her, holding her down while she struggled to breathe. Except when we turned on the lights, there was no one there, nothing at all, and she never came back. Eventually, I got my own room, and for a brief moment I thought maybe whatever was in that house would leave me alone. But one night I woke up to my bed shaking, not violently, just enough to know it wasn't a dream. And at the foot of the bed stood something tall, too tall, at least 7 feet, cloaked in darkness, its face completely hidden, one arm stretched out toward me, its hand open like it was waiting. And I wanted to move, to scream, to do anything, but I couldn't. I was completely frozen. And deep down, I knew that if I reached out, if I took that hand, I wouldn't come back. And after what felt like forever, it simply faded away, leaving me alone in a room that no longer felt safe. My mom tried everything after that, prayers, blessings, even bringing in a priest, but nothing worked. Whatever was in that house wasn't leaving. It just lingered, watching, waiting. And eventually she gave up and put the house on the market. But even after we moved out, it didn't end there, because the people who came after us didn't stay either. One of her coworkers agreed to check on the place and brought her boyfriend along, and while they were in the bedroom, in a moment that should have been completely normal, they both saw it. The same tall figure standing in the doorway, blocking the exit, silent and unmoving, just watching. And they said the air felt wrong, heavy, like the house itself wanted them gone. And eventually the figure disappeared the same way it always did, like it had never been there. But they never went back. Over the years, the house was sold again and again, abandoned, even foreclosed, like no one could stay there for long. And the last time I drove past it years later, I saw the garage in the back had burned down, blackened and hollow. And I couldn't help but wonder if whatever lived in that house had finally shown itself in a way no one could ignore, or if it was still there, waiting quietly behind those walls for the next family to walk through the door and call it home.